Hi, today I have to attend a training, so I wanted to have this usual live, but a little bit earlier so that I can then jump into a cab and go to this training. And today I want to discuss a mistake that I realized I did. A few weeks ago, I gave a presentation at CodeMotion Milan about pipelines for migrating from one language to another. And I think from some numbers that I receive on the grades everybody gets for their presentation that, I didn't do as well as I hoped. And I reflected on this, and I think that I focused too much on technical aspects. So how a migration works, how you design the migration. But I think I did an error. I forgot to tell the story behind the migration, because yes, I am a technical guy. I like to write algorithms. I like to write code. I like to find technical solution to technical problems. But what makes this job relevant is not the technical solution per se. The technical solution per se, if not applied to a valuable problem, are useless. I mean, it pains me to say that, but that's the case. What it makes them resonate is that there is a story behind that. So now I'm preparing a presentation to give a DevFest Strasbourg, and I'm trying to present the story differently. Of course, I will go into the technical details, but I will start by explaining the context. And so in this case, I'm showing an example. So I want to share the story of a company, maybe a company based in Rhône-Alpes. Well, I used to live in Lyon, so it's the area close to Lyon or around Lyon. And I tell the story of a company that is creating mechanical components for textile machinery, because Lyon has a tradition of in the textile department. Think about the Canoe, the people that were working with these, they work in the silk with this huge machinery. Okay, yeah, other topic. But so the area is famous for that, and so we can tell the story of a companies in the 90s that adopt an IBM AS400 and write their internal ERP or MRP using RPG. And we can tell the story of this company and how this company, 30 years later, is still running. They have modernized the company. They're still fighting to keep manufacturing in France. I think this argument will win some French, because they seems to be obsessed with the idea of made in France. But yeah, so they're fighting to keep their jobs in France. They need to modernize, and part of this, well, it's not just changing the machinery, it's also changing the software. In this case, moving to Python. Why to Python? Because it's easier to find Python developers, because there are close to 700,000 libraries on PyPy, and there is nothing similar for RPG, because you have access to all sorts of technology. For example, you can create a Python notebook and do some analysis very quickly and present them to a meeting and support some decision making. All things that are, let's be diplomatic, they are more difficult to do in RPG. So I want to focus a little more on the story of, and in particular, I'm fascinated by the stories of SMEs, small companies that fights to keep jobs, fights to stay on the market, fight against overseas competition. Of course, this is more fascinating to me than the story of a big bank that have to change their software. But on the technical level, maybe they are very similar, but I like to focus on the stories of these SMEs that maybe offer tens of hundreds of jobs, and what they do matters. And if they want to stay on the market, if they want to be able to compete, if they want to be able to innovate, they need to be able to modernize their software and evolve it quickly. And so helping them in winning this challenge is something that is meaningful, is, I think, a story worth sharing. So I will focus more on this story this time, and then dive into ASTs, semantic enrichment, and that sort of stuff that makes me happy. So I hope it makes sense. I'm really curious if you have any feedback or any suggestion. Really like the idea that this guy worked for 30 years and never changed his shirt. So, but thank you. Time to call a taxi, and see you next time. Bye.